Hi guys, how you doing today? This is D Durrell again at the practice. Definitely happy to spend time with you today. Again, I want to congratulate each and every one of you that have subscribed, that have allowed my channel to build slowly at the point that it's at. What I like to focus on today is the topic of SYSBM again. Haven't talked about them a whole lot, but I have some and I want to just let you all know I'm gonna get those tickets. That song is definitely gonna be hot, and I can't wait to release it. I just have a video that I'm doing some editing on. I'm working on that right now, but it will be released by Friday or Saturday of this week. I know I talked about it last week, but I had to make a quick trip to Dallas, so I wasn't able to do that. But this week is going to be definite, and I'm going to definitely present the video that morning. That early that day, and then we're going to do a fire live stream that night about it. Trust me, you're going to definitely enjoy it. And also, I got a freestyle called "Who the Goat" that's going to be coming right after that's over with. Trust me, you're going to love it. You're going to enjoy it. Who is the GOAT? Definitely. In response to the Docs One Network, wanting to, say things about me, making videos about me, talking negative about my music, just hating all day, every day. But that's okay. So what I'd like to talk about today is the red pill community, or what percentage of the red pill community has mental illness. I think this is something that we need to talk about. Mental illness in the red pill community. Now, I'm going to revisit this topic. I just wanted to do this as a small precursor to that, because we need to look at some of the things that I have observed in the last pretty much 4 years of being in these particular spaces. There's certain things that I have observed clinically that is synonymous with a lot of people, particularly people who go on panels talking crazy. Not necessarily the host. Some of the hosts, you don't know whether or not they're just doing this for money, if they're genuine with it. To be honest with you guys, I'm going to have to say that I think that of everybody who claims to be alpha, everybody who claims to be red pill, I'm going to say probably 25% of the people who claim that they are red pill actually practice red pill in real life. I'm going to repeat that. In my estimation, and I'm giving an estimation based on what I have observed and heard over the last 4 years, I think no more than 25% of the people who claim to be red pill and alpha males and all this other crazy jargon that they use, I only think about 25% of these people actually practice this in real life. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And it's very difficult for you to make me think otherwise. Okay? It's very difficult for me to think otherwise. And the reason why I think so is because when you're on a social media platform, or when you're on platforms like this, you can be whoever you want. You can pretend to be whatever you want. People are doing this because it's economically driven. I guarantee you guys, if YouTube decided that they no longer wanted to pay people, or they would, pay people to be on here, okay? I guarantee you, if they decided that they no longer wanted to give AdSense or allow you to do super chat, most of these people wouldn't even be on here. The way you can test who's truly red pill is in a state of crisis, in a state of emergency, or a state of change within YouTube. Then you really learn who's really red pill. You'll be surprised at what you see, because it's no way that I'm going to sit here and just say I think that everybody who claims to be red pill is red pill. They're not. Now let's look at the mental illness side of it. These are the things that I'm looking at. There are a great deal of people here who have suffered some level of emotional or relationship trauma that presented itself in the form of depression and anxiety. Now, to what extent, I don't know, but to some it can be very severe. To some, anxiety and depression is rampant because for many of these guys, it's not the fact that they are claiming to be red pill. It's the fact that they have suffered a lot of negativity in relationships with women, not necessarily because they're not good people. It's because they have not achieved and done things that are expected of a man at whatever point in life that they're in. And there are a lot of guys on here who beat that keyboard all day. And I apologize for the camera, but it's I mean, not the camera, but the lighting is all messed up. So I just decided to put a blue film into it or whatever. But a lot of these guys are not in relationships that they want to be in because the type of woman that they don't want them because they are not at the status and the place that they need to be as a man. It has nothing to do with their character. So the fact that they're not reaching those pinnacles or those goals, it begins to manifest itself into anger and anxiety around females. You notice when most red pill followers interact with females, notice it's always tense. It's always conflicting. It's always some type of rift. There always has to be an argument. It can never be cool collective. It can never be easygoing. There's never cooperatives on both sides because certain personalities can influence women to act certain ways, particularly if you're being disrespectful. But a red pill person don't think that they're wrong, so it's very hard to convince them that. There are very few red pillers who actually do therapy or even agree with going to therapy because there's barely not even a lot of black men going to therapy as it is. So I already consider they would, definitely not want to go to therapy because they don't think they're wrong. They think that it's because they have woken up and they found out that the females are pulling a wool over their head. Now that they're taking it off because they've been awakened by the red pill, this is what the world really is, and we need to kill the gynocracy that don't exist. Also, I think that there's a great deal of guys who have anger management issues that have a history of hitting women, that have a history of degrading women, talking not just physical abuse but also verbal abuse. Red pill consists of that. There's also a great deal of people who have sexuality issues. Their hatred for women is not necessarily centered in the fact that they can't have a relationship with them. Their hatred of women is because they really don't want women at all. They really prefer to be with men, but within themselves they don't like that, so they're repressing it and attempting to be with females in toxic relationships because they are afraid of the image and what their family is going to think and so on. Like, that's why black men are the largest group that's on the down low. There's a lot of down low black men because they don't want the image of a black gay man. Because they feel like being gay will take away their masculinity. Gay black men like to keep their masculinity. That's why they're on the down low, because they understand what they're doing is not a masculine behavior. It's toxic masculinity, actually. because it's toxic to the fact because this is not what men do. This is not this is not in the normal range of what heterosexual men, black men do. They don't engage in homosexual behaviors. But a red pill follower who's not happy with the fact that he can't be with the sex that he wants because he understands the backlash he may get, and the fact that he's innately and subconsciously never going to get along with females, and particularly in a romantic situation, because that's not what he wants. That's not what he attracts. That's why you hear so many guys claiming the fact that they went without sex so long. No, you went without sex with a woman because that's not what you want to. That's not what you really want. You really want is someone that has the same sex organs as you to have to create pleasure for you. That's what you really want. Let's just be honest. You don't get along. Some of these guys don't get along with females because they don't want to really be with them. That's such a tragic way to live. It's such tragic, and it's. I feel sorry for them. You have my sympathy. Very difficult for me to empathize because I would never do that to myself. But what I'm saying is that this is the type of level of mental illness that the red pill community has. And there's also other severe illness. That's for some of these guys, the crazy stuff that they're saying is not without it is not without the realm of thinking that there's some level of psychosis going on with some of these guys. There's definitely some chemical dependency going on with some of these guys that may be on drugs, with some of the crazy shit that they say, the stuff that they do. So red pill community has mental illness. It's filled with mental illness. It's untreated mental illness that surfaces throughout YouTube. And when you have multiple people and let's say groups, and even let's just say even movements, so-called movements that they claim they have, and groups and communities, everybody's thinking the same thing, and they're all coming from a place of irrational thoughts and irrational perceptions of what the way the world really operates. A lot of these people think that in day-to-day life that their ideology is actually popular. They actually think that people actually follow this stuff. There are people in here who think that SYSBM is a cultural phenomenon, and it's not. There are people in here that think that MGTOW is within pop culture. There are people who think that Itmore is the basis, is a standard of the black community or the conscious community. It's not. You're a laughing stock. They look at you as being weird, outcast. But on social media, particularly YouTube, you have a voice and you have a bond with those who are just as sick as you from a psychological standpoint. So that's my analysis on that. Just wanted to talk about that a little bit. Please, guys, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Please share the video. Please leave comments in the comment section. D. Durrell at the Practice. Have a great day.